1, starting at verse 12. Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then, when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow of turning. Of his own will he brought us forth by the word of truth, that we may be kind of first fruits of his creatures. Isn't it good that we're here today? A lot of other places we could be, but we're here. Here in the presence of God. We live in a society that when something goes wrong, nobody wants to take the blame. And it's always somebody else's fault. I mean, after all, Sheila married a perfect person. What are y'all laughing about? I'm not perfect. Never have, never will be, except by the blood of Christ, who cleanses me from my sin. But you know, sin's one of the biggest problems that we have. It is the biggest problem we have in the world today. But you know, when I taught out at the federal prison, do you know how many of those prisoners out there were guilty of the crimes that they were accused of? All but one. He admitted that he murdered somebody. When I asked him what he would do if somebody spit in his face, we were talking about anger. And he said, I'd probably kill them like I did the guy that I got sent in here with. Everybody else, it was somebody else's fault. Well, I didn't know they were going to rob the bank. I was just sitting in the driver's seat of the car. Kind of fishy, huh? But you know, it's always somebody else. It's my parents' fault that I do drugs. I watched my parents do it all of my life. It's their fault. I want to look at 5 things today about sin. I want to start off looking about the source of sin. Where does sin come from? I believe the reading that we had this morning answers all of these questions and backs up all of these facts of sin. First of all, let's go back to verse 12. Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of righteousness, crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Overcoming temptations. The source of temptation. The source of temptation, where does it come from? Well, a lot of us say, well, it's the devil's fault because the devil puts it out there. Well, I believe the devil does put a lot of a lot of temptation in our way. But does he make us do it? There's sometimes we go out to eat, and sometimes on the menu is asparagus. I do not like asparagus. And so I'm not tempted in any way to say, bring me a bowl of or a plate of asparagus. But some people love it. Some people love it and want to eat more and more. There are some things that I'm not tempted with, but there are others that I am. It's the same with you, isn't it? We have the things that we're weak in. And it's hard for us to look the other way. You see, that pecan pie, that calls my name. Sheila bakes a pecan pie at home about 2 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and I hear my name. Tony, Tony. Temptation. Temptation is there. And yes, sometimes Satan puts it right in front of us. Other times, we just pass it in life. And we glance at it. And we turn and then we stop and we look back. Let's continue reading. We have to overcome these temptations in our life to receive that crown of righteousness or the crown of life. In verse 13, let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil. For does he himself, nor does he himself tempt anyone. But one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. What tempts us? Walking along, see the pecan pie. Now, that's not a sin unless I eat all of it at one sitting. Sin is when I stop and I look at it and Sheila says, that's somebody else's. You can't have it. And I eat it anyway. Knowing I'm not supposed to do it. Knowing she asked me not to do it. No, she told me not to do it. But I say I'm going to do it anyway. And that's what sin is. Sin is looking at something and having such a great desire for it that we give in to our desires. Satan has put it there. But the source of sin comes from where? From within. The source of sin comes from me when I give in. Just being tempted isn't a sin. It's when we give in and we do what we know we shouldn't do. I know I shouldn't go into a bank and rob it. I know I shouldn't murder somebody. I know I shouldn't tell a lie. I know I shouldn't, I know I shouldn't, I know I shouldn't, but I do it anyway. That's when it becomes sin. So actually, the source of temptation is us. Or the source of temptation is our desire. The force of sin is our part. Actually doing it. To sit there and look at it is not a sin. But to actually act upon it, it is. It is giving in to our desires. to our greed, to our jealousy, to our envy, wanting stuff that everybody else has. And what do we do to get it? Who do we hurt? Do we stop giving to God? Do we stop even attending because we have to work more to get money to pay for what we're buying? The forces me. Continuing on. Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. We've seen the source is our desire. We've seen the force as us doing it. And now what is the course? What happens to us in the course of our life? I had a friend of mine, known him for many years, bought a little pop-up camper. He brought it home and his family was so excited. They couldn't wait to take it out to a camp somewhere and stay 2 or 3 days. Well, he told them right after he got it, he said, I want you to know, the first time that this camper keeps us away from worship, I'm selling it. They had many enjoyable times out in the camper. One Saturday night, everybody was having such a good time. The girl said, Dad, can't we just stay overnight? We'll get up in the morning early. We'll help you get everything together. And we'll be home in time for worship. So he agreed to it. Have you ever tried getting up early when you're camping? Especially after you stayed up late the night before? You know what happened. They got home late and they didn't attend worship. He went out and he cleaned that pop-up camper up, had it spotless, put a sign in it for sale. When many people would have shrugged it off, said it won't happen again. Until when? Till the next time it happens. And it happens over and over again. That's the way sin takes over our life. A drug addict. I won't get hooked on drugs. Then after a short period of time, he is. And he can't get off of them. Or she is, and she can't get off of them. I know a young lady who was beautiful. A beautiful young lady. If I showed you a picture of her today, you wouldn't recognize her because of what drugs have done to her. But it's not only what they did to her, it's what it did to their family. is what it did to her kids who she can't see anymore because of her lifestyle, who love their mother and who want to be with their mother, but they can't. Because the courts know if they live with their mother that they'll turn out the same way as her. And she's been given chance after chance after chance after chance. She refuses it. She says, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. She's going to stop until when? Until somebody offers her some more. And she'll take it. That's the course of a sinner's life. Whatever the sin is, we do it over and over and over and over again until it becomes just the course of our life. This is what we do. The source, our desire. The force, our action. The course, our whole life is affected by sin. And all of a sudden, one day we sit there and we say, what am I doing? I know better than this. I know I shouldn't do this. And we get remorse. We're sorry for what we're doing. I can tell you other positive stories about people who have been on drugs who have gotten off of them. That they no longer control their lives. But the remorse is feeling bad when Peter denied Christ three times. What did he do? He told God, or Jesus, he said, I'll never deny you. And Jesus said, before the rooster crows, you'll deny me three times. And remember the scriptures, as I said, he stood at a distance watching. He tried to just mix in with everybody. And when he was pointed out, said he does know him. He denied him, said, not me, not me, not me. And then again, a little bit later, they accuse him again. He says, I told you two times already, I don't know the man. Got mad. And he heard the rooster crow. What did he do? He wept. How did he weep? He wept bitterly. Why? Because he knew what he had done. The very thing that he said he wouldn't do, he did. That's one good reason to never say never. Because once you say, I'll never do it, you'll probably do it. But to be remorseful, for continuing on in the reading, do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Every good and gift and every perfect gift is from above, that comes down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadows of turning. Of his own will he brought us forth by the words of truth, that we might be kind of first fruits of his creatures. When all else fails, what do? we go to God. And our recourse of life is going to God and asking for forgiveness. And Him forgiving us. Because He will. Now to bring the lesson and to look at another scripture. And we'll do this real quickly. To show all of these steps in somebody's life. And that's in Luke chapter 15. We're not going to read all of it. It's a long long story. All of us have heard it and know it. Luke chapter 15, starting in verse 11, and it goes through the end of the chapter. It's the prodigal son. Prodigal son wakes up one day and he says, I want to be on my own. I'm old enough now. I can handle myself. Do you remember those days in your life? I do. I remember going to college, Northeastern Christian Junior College. Mom and Dad dropping me off there that morning. And that afternoon, I saw that car drive away. And I had the biggest smile on my face. Prakash, I said, I'm free. I can do whatever I want to now. There's nobody telling me what to do. That's where the young man was. And he goes to his daddy and says, I don't want to wait for you to die for my inheritance. Give it to me now. What was he desiring? He was desiring his inheritance. Something that wasn't due him right then. But he wanted it. The Father gave it to him. The source was his desire to have the inheritance. The force was him taking that inheritance. And the course was him going to a faraway country. And the scripture said that he squandered all that he had. And when he had nothing left, all of those people who were his friends, they left too. He had no money. He had no friends. He had to find a job. And he found a job. Slopping pigs. I slopped pigs before. I don't like it. I don't like the smell. It gets in your nose and you smell it for days afterwards. But here he was feeding the pigs, taking care of the pigs. And he's so hungry that he wishes he could have what the pigs were eating. You'd have to be awful hungry for that. But that was the course that he said in his life, wasn't it? Sin, 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 sin. And all of a sudden, how did I end up here? And he sat back and he thought, you know, my father's servants have it a whole lot better than I have. They have a place to sleep at night. They come in from working the day and they have something to eat. They have comfortable surroundings. He was being what? Remorseful. When he said, I'm going to go home. And I'm going to tell my dad, I don't deserve to be your son anymore. Just make me one of your servants. Could you imagine how many times he practiced that speech? on his walk home. And finally, he looks down the road and he sees his father looking down the road at him. Because his father had been out there every day. He didn't know that. His father had been out there every day looking down that road just praying that he'd come home. When his father recognizes him, he don't just walk to him, he runs to him. And he throws his arm around him, and the son throws his arms around his father. And the son starts into the speech that he had prepared. Dad, I don't deserve to be your son anymore. Father says, you stop right there. You're my son. You're a you were lost. Now you're found. He was remorseful. And he went to the man that he had hurt. When we're remorseful, what do? When we're remorseful, we go to God, who's promised to take us back, who's promised to forgive us of all of our sins. So what do you think about sin now? The source, our temptation. The force, our action. The course, where our action leads us. And I pray that our actions will lead us to remorse. To be sorry for what we've done. And lead us to recourse in asking God's forgiveness. Asking His forgiveness for the sins of our life. That's what sin is. And that's how sin happens and what happens when we sin. We're all tempted in many ways. Sometimes we stumble and fall. But what's the important part? That we get up and that we press on. Paul thought he was doing right when he was crucifying Christians, when he was persecuting Christians. But when he found out that he was doing wrong, he changed. He made a 180-degree turn in his life. And he said, God, I'm going to live for you. And may we all live for God. May we all follow Him. May we get rid of the sins of our lives and only look to Him. We don't know when this world will end. Some people think it's going to be pretty quick now. It will be pretty quick for those who die today. We're not guaranteed a tomorrow. We're not guaranteed to be alive when Christ returns. We're told that He's going to come as a thief in the night, Paul told the church at Thessalonica. Come as a thief in the night. But we must be ready. May we be ready. And may we live our life for God in the way that He wants us to. We always want to offer an invitation. We'll do so at this time. If you need to respond, do so as we stand and as we sing.